We've got a lot of questions about that stubborn love handle area and what you can do for it.
Love handle, there's so many words for it, but basically it's the flanks. That's what we typically call it. I've heard it called the muffin top. I've called it all kinds of funny names, but it's basically build up of fat right here on the sides. My number one modality that I like to treat that area, depends on the patient obviously, pretty much where they want to be, but they have this trouble area. I always lean towards CoolSculpting. And it's interesting. For men, we carry fat in very predictable places. It's kind of like usually centripetal, so around the midsection. That includes the love handles, includes the front of the abdomen. Maybe sometimes on men we'll do under their neck. Women, fat is a little more evenly distributed throughout the body, so it could be inner thigh, outer thigh, back of the arm, a couple extra places in addition to the place where men typically carry fat. So this is an area, the love handles, that affects both genders. And a lot of our patients that CoolSculpt this area are men. I'd say disproportionate, I'd say more men than women even come in asking for what they could do about the fat around their midsection, around their love handles. So no shame in it for men. I've done it. Actually, that's the reason I bought a CoolSculpting machine back maybe 6-7 years ago, is because I was demoing the machine out. I did one side, kind of a split body study. I CoolSculpted twice and I didn't do the other side. And there was a noticeable difference. So I definitely had less fat, kind of straighter line right here, and a little bit more, I guess, awful term, but muffin top on the other side. Made me buy the machine. Now I own 6 machines, so obviously it's done well. SDBotox, we do it at 3 of our locations. And we could dual sculpt, so 2 at once. Anyway, CoolSculpting, it's a technology that uses suction and a freezing temperature to kill the fat underneath the skin, and it can target certain areas. There's different attachments for different areas. And for CoolSculpting the flanks, it's kind of a curved applicator, since that's a curved part of the body, and it fits different body styles. We have different applicators for everyone. It takes 35 minutes. It is cold for the first maybe 5, then you go numb. And then at the end, there's a massage to help further break up the adipose tissue, the fat cells. And then results come about a month to 2 months later. Best results, you do the same area 2 or 3 times. It's synergistic. 1 + 1 is 3, or like 1 + 1 + 1 is 5. So you really get a better result when you do multiple treatments in that same area. So sometimes patients will come in and they'll want to CoolSculpt all over their body. And we'll be like, we'll pick the area that bothers you the most and let's do that area 2 or 3 times and you'll see better results. And then if you want to continue, we'll go into the next area. So super safe, very low likelihood. The machine has sensors that if the skin itself is getting too cold, it stops the machine. So we won't cause frostbite. We won't cause necrosis of the skin above the area we're trying to CoolSculpt. There is a small chance of something called proximal adipose hyperplasia. It happens 1 in 6,000, where like instead of decreasing fat, it increases it. And the company that makes the machine will take care of the liposuction for the patient. But that's such a low prevalence that really we haven't seen it yet. But yeah, CoolSculpting, been around for 10 years. Good safety profile, good results. It's one of our best modalities at SDBotox. We tend to do a lot of CoolSculpting this time of year, kind of March, April, because summer's coming. Results take 2-3 months to really see, so get your summer bod on now.
What is the difference between CoolSculpting and liposuction?
That's a good question. Almost everyone knows what liposuction is. They use a catheter, they heat the fat underneath the skin, and they kind of violently go back and forth, and it sucks out the fat. So they're mechanically breaking up the fat and then using suction to suck it out. So that's considered minimally invasive. As far as CoolSculpting, that's considered non-invasive. The skin is left completely intact. And so what they do is that we apply an applicator to the outside of the skin above the treatment area, and then the machine uses suction to hold the tissue in place, and then a freezing temperature delivered to the deeper layers to kill the fat cells. So fat cells are susceptible to both temperature extremes, both heat and cold. In this case, we're using cold, a process called cryolipolysis, to kill the fat cell. So the fat cell is killed during the procedure, but it takes the body about a month to 2 months, maybe 3, to then take those dead fat cell remnants and pull them, kind of suck them into the lymphatic system, eventually into the vasculature, and then excrete it out the kidneys. Benefits of CoolSculpting: the CoolSculpting patient is a little thinner than the liposuction patient, so they just have less fat. To begin with, they don't need as much sucked out as they do in liposuction. It tends to be less expensive. It tends to be less painful since you're not breaking the skin. And it can be done kind of in an afternoon, and then most patients are sitting on their computers or laptops or phones or watching a movie on Netflix the entire time. So really like a non-painful in and out type procedure, as opposed to liposuction. A little more involved, have to wear the abdominal binder after. But I will say liposuction tends to have more dramatic results on larger patients. So I would say the ideal CoolSculpting patient is a thinner patient with a trouble area. Again, for men, it tends to be centripetal around the midsection, the flanks, the abdomen, maybe underneath the neck. Women, a little more evenly distributed. The back of the arms, the thighs, inner, outer, under the buttocks, etc. And yeah, so it's like really that patient that is almost where they want to be, and we'll just kind of push them across that finishing line, get them their summer bod. So now we know why that I've CoolSculpted and my results and why I bought all the machines and why I love it. But Gina, tell me about your experience as a patient CoolSculpting.
Yeah, I've treated my abdomen. I mean, I've been pretty slender my whole life, but maybe mid-20s or so, I started to see just a little bit of extra weight right in the abdomen area, not really anywhere else. No matter diet, exercise, didn't matter, just sat right there. So I did a couple treatments of CoolSculpting and I love it. It's been permanent for me. I've seen a difference. It's been long-standing. I'm a complete believer. It's a great result.
That's awesome. Was it painful?
No. I mean, the massage isn't uncomfortable. It only lasts 2 minutes, but I mean, like I said, totally worth it. It's nothing you can't bear. It's really cold in the beginning, then you're numb, very comfortable the whole experience. Massage a little bit uncomfortable, but I mean, it's great.
And when did you see your results? How long after the treatment?
I was expecting it to take a while. I started to see them probably within 4 weeks though.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'd say definitely maximum results at the 2-3 months, but I started seeing results even within 4 weeks.
What areas, if you don't mind me asking? I know you've done just your abdomen.
I've done just my abdomen, but I mean all over. I did top portion, middle, and even like super down low. So I mean the full abdomen, yeah.
How many times in each area?
I did twice up here, and midsection I've probably done maybe 3 or 4 times, and very low I've done twice as well.
Okay, that's awesome. So after adolescence, we have the same number of fat cells in our body. So when we gain weight, the fat cells hypertrophy, or they just gain more fat within the cell, and so the cell gets bigger. And so CoolSculpting permanently kills that cell. We actually have less fat cells. If we were to gain weight, we wouldn't go right to our trouble area. It would be a little more evenly distributed, probably a good thing.
Yeah.
For most patients. It's a permanent result, but obviously if that patient then goes and gains, 60 pounds, we'll have to take care of that again in that area and maybe something else.
I was gonna say, it's just worth it. It's just worth it. Like you said, it's permanent here, and so I have gained some weight, and it just made my proportions different, which I've liked. It's like curvier in other places, but kept my abdomen tiny.
Yeah, and I think that's huge right now, because right now a lot of people are on Ozempic, and so those are a little less selective. So oftentimes patients will lose weight everywhere, which is oftentimes their goal, and that's great. Oftentimes someone may not want to lose weight in certain areas, and so it's a little more like a sniper. You could just kind of pick off little trouble areas as opposed to kind of shotgun approach and remove fat everywhere. Yeah, and CoolSculpt, you won't regret it.